Okay, if there's one thing I know about marketers, it's that we don't always love math and numbers, right? We like to be a little bit more creative. That's changing because a lot of what we do is so data driven on platforms like Facebook and AdWords. But on the whole, if you had a bad experience with math, I got to tell you, you're going to have to get over it a little bit, right? There's some real basic math and work with numbers that we're going to do so that you have a good handle on your business and so that you know how to scale, right? So until you have a handle on some of these key figures, you won't really be able to scale. And if you do, it's probably you getting lucky and you're not going to have repeatable success. So bear with me here. If you've had some bad experiences in the past, this is going to help you get over it. Now, what we're trying to accomplish here is understand, what are some of the key targets that you need to hit with your advertising on Facebook in order to then know that it's okay to raise budgets and start to scale up. Okay, so the principle at play here is that we want to get profitable early on with some room to grow. In other words, we want to have a high enough ROAS or return on ad spend early on that when we raise our budgets and we start scaling our campaigns, that they have some room to have lower performance, right? So if we learned one thing about how Facebook optimizes for different users in that kind of initial diagram that we saw with the concentric circles going out, it's that when you raise the volume of sales or start reaching a broader group of people, the performance can start to go down. So our goal with scaling any of your campaigns isn't just to maintain a certain cost per acquisition or cost per sale, but to make sure that it stays within a certain range so that you're making money. Every time you're spending money, you're making money back. So with that in mind, let me just go to this little spreadsheet here to illustrate a lesson here for you. So let's just imagine here's a product in one of our stores. It retails for about $100. So let's say that you're selling for $100 and your product cost is about $40. Now this example I'm going through here is going to relate to an e-commerce situation, and you can kind of adopt the same model if you're in a lead generation business or if you have a service that you're selling. You're going to have your own cost structures, but for the sake of simplicity, let's just pretend that we're selling these bed sheets. Okay, so they sell for $100. They cost $40 to produce, so that's the cost from the supplier. And that's going to leave us with a gross profit of $60. Not bad, right? We sell it for $100, it costs us $40, we make $60. So it's a 60% margin. Not bad. So just to put this in the plainest of terms, that means if we want to just break even, we don't want to lose money, we don't want to make money, we have to sell it for, or we have to acquire that customer for $60, right? Because that $60 cost of acquisition would kind of wipe out the profit and we'd be left with zero. Now, the goal here obviously isn't to break even, but you got to know what that initial break even point is so that you're not losing money. Now, one common mistake that we see among advertisers is that Facebook will reveal to you return on ad spend, right? So they'll show you this ratio or this percentage that's basically telling you, hey, every time you spend $1, you get these many dollars back. And the mistake that we see people make is that they see something that's over 1, so that's over the ratio of 1, and they think they're making money. But they're not accounting for their product costs, they're not accounting for their profit margins. So you can see in this case, your break-even return on ad spend has to be at least 1.67 or 167%. So that's where you're not making money, you're not losing money. So find that point first where you are breaking even. Now, as we kind of scale things out here, we're looking at different scenarios, right? So we've put a target return on ad spend of 2, 3, 4, and 5, just for the sake of this lesson. And in this column here, we're showing you really what the target cost per acquisition has to be. What is the cost per sale in order to achieve this target return on ad spend? Okay, so it's pretty simple here. We're just dividing that product cost by the return on ad spend here. But you can see that to get a target return on ad spend of 2, you need to acquire people for no more than $50, and that's going to leave you with net profit per sale. Now, great, you're making $10 of real money, not just revenue, but actual profit in your pocket. You made $10, not bad. But Will that scale? And the answer is no. And so when we see these target return on ad spends of around 2 or less, we're saying, listen, that's a great start, but it's not likely going to scale with kind of the cost model that you have in place or how much it costs to produce these products. So now when we look at 3, 4, and 5, you can see that the threshold or the price that you're actually able to pay to acquire a customer goes down, down to $20 here, but your profit goes up. Okay, so this isn't rocket science, guys. I promise you that this is going to be easy math, right? Now here's the $1 million question, literally $1 million question or more, but what target ROAS do you need in order to scale a campaign effectively? So this answer is going to be different for you guys depending on, again, your cost structure. That's why we're trying to illustrate here that this isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. But in general, when we see a ROAS between 3 and 4, it gives us a lot more space to scale up. And that means as we raise our budgets and we're going to be reaching more people, it's going to cost more to reach those people, we know that we can afford to do it when we're sitting in here. Now, this, I should remind you, is not just for one ad. It could be for your entire funnel. We're going to go into funnels a little bit later, but if we're talking about maybe there's an ad for a cold audience and then we're retargeting people, maybe your ad reaching the cold audience is only getting like a 1 or a 2x return on ad spend, but your retargeting ad is getting people at like a 11 or a 15 return on ad spend. So we're really talking about the blended average of all of your campaigns running. It should really be between a 3 and a 4 in order to have enough room to scale. So there's always exceptions to the rule, but we're trying to give you guys some real actionable things to work against here to scale your campaigns. Now, you also have to factor in different parts of your business here. And I don't want to get too complicated. Like, the idea is to give you a nice starting point and then you can get as complicated as you'd like. But there are other concepts here that are good to at least mention right now, which, one of them being your customer's lifetime value. So if you've been in business a while and you know that you acquire a customer and sure, your gross profit might be $60, but they come back and buy from you 2, 3, 4, 5 more times over the course of, the next year or two. That's something to consider here. That's going to actually give you more room to acquire that customer in the first place. So there's all sorts of ways for us to tweak this, right, to get to where you need to be. But looking at the most simple model, if you plan on a customer only buying from you once, the idea here is that you want to stay within these range of target return on ad spend ratios, and that'll give you the room to scale up your campaigns. So use this spreadsheet to at least get a gut check so that as you're scanning through your ads and you're looking at performance early on when you're testing, once something hits that 3 to 4 range, you should look at it as having the opportunity to scale up.